ticket number if it's foresters. And also, I don't want any of you guys messaging me saying, hey, Jordan, I didn't get my $1,200 bonus or I didn't get my $1,600 bonus from corporate when I sold 30K last month. If you don't submit your client through the NPN or through the score, then it doesn't count for your producer bonus. So as we're walking through this right here, you simply add the name, first name, last name, phone number, date of birth, email, and then on the next page, it will give you an opportunity to select the certificate number or the policy number. Okay. And then there's also a spot that says accidental added on to this, which if you added AD&D or you sold any type of indemnity or AD&D, you can add that just by simple putting additional accidental coverage and check the box exactly right there. So
I get
with
asked
that
a
being
lot, should I wait until I got the client approved? Let's say I wrote a Foresters, it's pending. There is policy status for pending. So you can still go ahead and do it. I like to recommend at the end of a phone call, hey, Jordan, what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to plug you into our system. You're going to get a text and an email with everything we talked about today. So I'm going to plug you in now. I want to confirm while I have you on the call that you received the text. All right, I just sent it. Did you receive that? Perfect.
received.
And then this is the information. They receive everything. They have their own little portal. Looks really cool. They like it. And again, regardless of what you did, whether you did partial, full, equity protection, whatever it might have been, they're
Hello?
going to get an explanation regarding everything. RJ, do you have a question? Or did you let me
RJ,
know?
you're unmuted.
Rookie mistake. All right.
So
Any questions about that before we let our guest go? Let's our guest pop on. I actually don't see our guest. Maybe I should text him.
it's okay. We'll get a special guest. Does anyone know why it's so important though, like to continue to, if you think about this, like they're gonna wait out 2 weeks till they get the policy in the mail or in the email. It's important to have congruency in what you say and what they're receiving. And so this is gonna just create another layer of trust. And it's not what you write, it's what you keep. It's not what if they decide to cancel it within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're going to get a chargeback, and you just did all that work for nothing. So it's super important to cement the sale and leverage that. So, Claudia, is Mr. Gandy on here?
I don't see him.
All right, no worries. Let's see if we can give him a couple minutes, and we'll jump in.
But Jonah's here.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Jonah, we just finished going over score and submitting policies. So make sure they submitted their policies. And then we have not introduced our guest yet or done anything after score and submit. We're just about to get Chris on the call.
Awesome.
Hey,
Sounds
Jordan, are you able to put the link to score in the chat here?
It's just score.insure, but I'll drop it in the chat for you 100%.
So, thank you.
Apologies, guys. I just wrapped up a podcast here. I'm over in St. Pete. How's everybody's week going?
My week's fabulous.
Amazing, like always.
Yeah.
RJ, what do you have for the week? I feel like you always have big weeks.
I want to say it's like a little over 6.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's 69.86.
There you go. Anybody else want to share some wins? I don't even know who's on here. I was gonna say the leaderboard's pretty poppin'.
So yeah, I've had a little bit of success in calling some clients from POS and also new business. So one thing that I'm working on is I have about a 487K annuity that's gonna go through, and it's been 3 calls, 4 calls, so 3 phone calls and 1 Zoom. And I just encourage you guys to get a little bit uncomfortable. I know that for me, it's definitely uncomfortable chatting about annuities and retirement. But one thing I would say to you guys is if they're not saying no, your only job is to book the next meeting. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down real quick. Okay. FAM BAM, right? FAMBAM. And so you can either say this as book a meeting from a meeting or from a meeting, book a meeting. And so one thing that I learned that was super important for me is when we're talking about retirement and we're talking about these clients' assets and rolling them over, it's not about getting them to say yes right away. It's about continuing to book the next meeting and just move them down the chain and get really, really good at scheduling the next call. So, for example, this client had 400,000. I thought she was potentially ready to move the money on Friday. And then she was like, "Hey, Jordan, I want to wait till Monday. I really want to think about this. I really want to pray about it." And I said, not a problem, completely agree, acknowledge, and ask a question. And so I'll say the one thing that's super, uncomfortable at first is going, okay, should I try to close this client or should I book another meeting and try to continuously move this meeting to the next? And so, I just continued to really put the client first and say, hey, I'm just praying for wisdom and discernment that they'll make the wise decision for themselves and ultimately, make the right decision. So from every meeting, you should leave the meeting with a meeting, and that's the most important part. So it looks like we've got our guest on the call today, and I'm so insanely excited for you guys to hear from him. If you guys were at conference in Orlando, you know this guy. You're gonna see him. You're gonna recognize him. And I'll give him a small introduction. But you guys, if you don't have a notepad right now, go get a notepad. Like run downstairs, run to your office, run somewhere, get a notepad. Like your hand should absolutely hurt after this training call. And so I'm excited to bring on our guest, who's the president of, I think it's called NAFA, the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. If you guys don't know what that is, that's who gives all the designations in our professional industry. And so he is the president, but really he's going to speak to you guys about a few things. He's going to speak to you guys about what you're already licensed to do, and you're already licensed to connect. And so he's a professional in life insurance. He's a professional at defined benefit plans. And so I'm super excited to have Mr. Christopher Gandy on the call with us today. Thank you for your time, Chris, and thank you for being on.
I appreciate it. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you guys can hear me. Hey, listen, I'm wearing my orange and blue because Illinois went to the Final Four this year. Jonah, don't hold it against me. And I appreciate it. I'm going to, if you guys will let me, I'm going to try to use a PowerPoint today. It just helps us kind of stay on track. So give me a moment for a little bit of technical challenge here. But how's everybody doing? Good?
We're doing great. And guys, while Chris is pulling that up, Jordan, thank you for introducing everybody and introducing Chris. Drop an emoji in the chat if you were able to hear Chris speak at convention. So for everybody on this call, I'm in St. Pete right now. I just wrapped up, and gentleman, very successful real estate investor and serial entrepreneur. He owns about 27 businesses, and he just walked me through his office, and he's beautiful office, top floor, downtown St. Pete. And he started in real estate, and then he branched out and he created businesses, and he's got over 27 businesses, and they all feed into the same vertical. And so having Chris on this call, that's the perfect segue where, guys, I want you to really pay attention, really take notes like Jordan said, but have the intent where you guys want to have the mindset and be thinking about how can I leverage my insurance license to the fullest ability? Because please, and I'm speaking from experience, please don't make the mistake that I made, was thinking that, oh, I'm just going to sell simplified issue life insurance forever. Guys, these high ticket items, these defined benefit plans, annuities, large funded whole life policies, if you can just incorporate one or two of these a month into your business, that's life-changing income for yourself and your family. And having those large commissions, like, guys, that gives you the ability to reinvest that back into your business and grow your business so much further. So Chris, Thank you for hopping on, brother. I'm excited to get into this.
All right, let's get it, Chief. I appreciate the time, energy, and effort. As you guys mentioned, can you guys hear me? Can you guys see this PowerPoint that I have up? If so, then we're gonna rock. Here's a couple things I promised today. One, we're gonna go fast. Two, you need to pay attention. Three, don't whatever you do, don't try this alone. You know, the goal is that we're able to drop a seed that then feeds itself over a period of time through working with others. Your boat will rise. What I will tell you is that I want you to keep doing the same thing you're doing, but keep your eyes and ears open for the opportunity to be able to create what I call a $100,000 case. How many people here, you could drop an emoji if you want to. How many people here are interested in have finding or looking for a $100,000 case? Anybody? So let me ask a better question. How many people here are interested in making more money? Right? If that answer is all of you, if not, then you're on the wrong call, right? So I'm going to take your expectation from what Jonah just told you of, okay, how do we do this, to here's how we do it, and here's likely how we're going to do it this year. Okay, so I coined this, how do we find a $100,000 case? This is super easy, right? I started off in the business similar to Jonah. You know, at the end of the day, I was selling a lot of policies, right? I was selling a lot of policies, and I sold over 500 policies in a year, right? And so me and my little team, I had a couple assistants, and I was out pumping cases, man. I was pumping cases at an average of $20 or $30 a month. So if I can do it, you can do it. And that's where I started. Okay. So I warn you, I tell you, I pervade this to you, is that you can do this. However, here's what I'll tell you, what one of my mentors said. The small cases keep you in the business. The bigger cases make you rich. I'll repeat, the smaller cases keep you in the business long enough so the big cases can make you rich. If you go out elephant hunting with a pea shooter, the odds are you're going to get trampled by that elephant. Okay, so you can't go elephant hunting with the skill set you probably have. So what do? You lean on teammates, you lean on partnerships, you lean on opportunities to actually learn by doing. So with that being said, let's rock. The little extra. Most people, you can write these quotes. These quotes are great. Most people do ordinary things and expect extraordinary results. That's not how winning works. You got to be willing to do the extra. That's where extraordinary comes from. The extra, ordinary. Very simple, black and white. Like I said, I issued 300 policies. It was great. I was at the top of my class, doing a great job. Average case was 30, 40 bucks a month, or as you guys would probably 360 of AP. Nothing crazy. I wasn't doing $100, $200 a month of AP, or 1,000 or 2,400. I wasn't doing any of that. I was simply having fun, making money, balling out, doing whatever I was doing. However, I found myself, I had actually put together a business that was not scalable. I had put together, for all practical purposes, a service business. I had issues with lapses. I had issues with clients calling me all the time saying they want to change beneficiaries. I had clients saying to me, "Hey, you know what? Could you drive over?" And I was, no, like, my capacity was done because I didn't have any boundaries. So the first thing I will tell you guys is that every year you have to swim upstream. So if your average case right now, and all of you should be keeping averages because stats, I'm a former athlete. Stats tell the story. It's not how you feel. It's not about all these stats tell the story. How much did you do? What was your average? And then you try to improve on that. The real pros understand statistics. That's why the NFL, NBA, they've all gone to statistics. That's why, is because statistics don't lie. When you look at it for a longer period of time, you can take a step back and say, if I'm shooting from over here and I'm likely going to make it 60% of the time, I shoot over here and I'm going to make it 40% of the time. If I take more shots at the 60, the odds are I give myself a better chance to score more points. Statistical data. Same in our business. In our business, you have to swim upstream. So you should be counting your last case, your best case and worst case, throw it out. Doesn't count. So if you take your last 5 cases, just write it down. I did this with a group. Take your 5 cases, last 5 cases, write them down of AP, whatever those are. If you guys are just starting, then take your first case, right? Take your first 2 cases, write them down, and then take the average of those 2 cases. Okay, that is your average. Every month, you want to try to swim upstream to ask for more. right? So if you're asking people for $30 a month, hey, Mr. Client, can you afford $40 a month? Can you afford $42 a month? And slowly but surely you're swimming upstream. Now you're like, Chris, that's going to take me forever to get to a $100,000 case. Yes, but that's not how we're going to get there. We're going to do that because you're going to have so many opportunities that's coming at you. You just need to know what questions to ask to find it. So here's the people that really need to help as we get into the weeds of this. The people that really need to help are people that don't have a W-2 or have a W-2 and other income. Those people really need help because every year the tax man cometh. Every year taxes are due in April. So if you really want to help your clients, really not only help them with insurance, but you actually help them keep more money in their pocket. Everybody wants to hear that. So I'm going to give you a question. If you ask your client, hey, if you keep more of your tax money in your pocket, are you interested in having a longer conversation about how we can help you do that? Write that down and do that. Ask that question every time. You can ask the question in between taking a nap if you want to. Hey, just curious, if you could help you save 50, 40, 50% of your income in taxes, would you be interested? They're like, yeah, we'd like to set up a time after this to make sure that happens. You can ask that question. It's seamless. It's not distracting from what you're already doing because they're already answering questions. The people that have the issues, the common issues, are people that pay more in taxes. More taxes, more problems, more people. That's how it works. And people have the means to do something about it because they have the taxes. They have the taxes. People that make more money have more means to do more things. Not saying that everybody doesn't deserve an opportunity, but I am saying that the people that you really can help, really can make an impact in, are the people that actually make more money. And then people that have outgrown their advisors. Here's what I'll tell you. Most people have outgrown their advisors, but they're too lazy to move. See, what I honestly believe in this industry is there's more than enough for everybody. So if we stop competing with each other and say, I say, Joan is not very good. He works for this company. Chris Gandy's not very good. He works for this company. If I say Joan is great, Jonah's one of the best in the industry. However, there's things Jonah really specializes in. And those things I want you to keep doing with him. My goal isn't to compete with him. My goal is to enhance or complement what Jonah does for you through other strategies to help complement because we both work for you. We're creating that, obviously, that team. The language I'm giving you guys, I'm giving you today is killer language. I've found that the smartest people I work with in this industry have the ability to articulate certain things in a certain way, and people are like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. So I'm telling you that language on purpose. Listen, my goal, Mr. Client, is to enhance and complement what your other advisors potentially may be doing, and perhaps you've outgrown them. But again, we specialize in certain areas that most advisors really don't tap into. Okay. What are all the common problems? One, the most successful people in the world, they work really hard. People are always trying to sue them for one reason or another. They constantly have to pay more in taxes every single year. Their lifestyles are awesome. They're typically very fairly eccentric. So if you're talking to a guy, he's like, yeah, I'm going to catch my private plane. I'm on my way to Vail. You understand that's probably a pretty well-off person, and their lifestyle is fairly eccentric. They come and go as they please. And typically they're the kings of their own kingdom. So how do you identify a tiger? How do you identify people that actually can use these potential plans? These are the traits. They're not going to tell you by their money. You're going to learn it by the traits of things like, let me ask you a question. How much did you end up paying in taxes last year, and how do you feel about it? What do you mean? How do I feel? Well, I mean, how'd you feel? Are you comfortable with the idea that you're going to probably do well this year? I mean, you're going to pay the same or more? They will talk to you about that because every single person that I know, given the opportunity to either reduce their taxes and or give their money to the government, most people say, I'll give my money to somebody I love and care about, including myself. Okay, but these are the common problems all of them have across the board. And it doesn't matter if they like insurance or not. It doesn't matter if they like annuities or not. Their disdain for those two products is way less than the IRS and federal government. Do you understand? So I want to make sure you guys completely understand that model. If I can give you 3 things to eat and you don't like them all, I'm going to say, which one do you like? Which ones do you out of these 3, which one do you like the absolute worst? And they're going to say, well, it's that one. Well, these 2 are kind of manageable. We can deal with that, which is kind of interesting because people say, I don't want to buy life insurance on a regular basis to me, especially a very large pot. I want to put 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in life insurance. I say, okay, we can just pay the tax. They're like, oh, how do I do that? What do I do about that? So who are they turn to ask these questions? Say, who should I turn to, and who do they turn to on a regular basis? I tell these stories because last night I was having a conversation with a guy who's a chiropractor. He's got 4 offices. He's making about $4 million a year, and his wife gets on the call and she's like this the entire time. And I said, let me ask her a question. I know you probably have heard everything. I said, however, the only thing I'm going to talk to you about is how do I keep as much money in your pocket as possible versus giving it to the IRS? Because I know you just gave them a pretty big check. She said, yeah, we just freaking wrote a check for like $700,000. She goes, but we already got everything taken care of. We already got all these things. We already got blah, 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 blah. I said, while I understand, we haven't figured out the tax reduction. We have not figured that piece out. And if we haven't figured that piece out, then I have a role on the team. She goes, if you can help me do that, you can have all my business. But she got on the call like this. You know, like she already had everything taken care of. So here's what I'm telling you. They trust other people. So you have to become a trusted advisor. How do you become a trusted advisor? One is you need to know the role of the accountant. The accountant is either a bean counter, and you can ask this question: is your accountant a bean counter or a progressive accountant? They'll say, what do you mean? Do you ever hear your accountant say things like this? Send me your stuff. And then you just be quiet. They're going to say, well, yeah, how did you know? Oh, that's about most accounts, right? And so we're working with people to help them understand that it's not their accountant's job to help them reduce their overall taxes, okay? Friends, family, colleagues, they turn to people like that. They turn to Google, Instagram, TikTok, Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, all the people, their attorneys and family members. Notice they don't turn to insurance or financial advisors. But why not? We're the ones that actually can help them. So understanding this is super important because you got to understand who you're competing against. These are the people that can sandblast our opportunity to help reduce their overall taxes. Okay, these are the things that they turn to go fact check what we're going to tell them. So here's why I tell you don't try this alone. Because if you tell them something that's not true in fact, and you're just making it up, when they fact check it, you've lost credibility. You'll never get that case. So here's what I'll tell you. Stay on the side of, if we can help, tax reduction, asset protection, and helping you optimize your income, optimize your wealth. That is what we do. Okay. So if you stay in that space, you never run the issue of telling them something that's not true. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Let's go. So why is this a problem? Why is taxes a problem? And why, when they turn to these people, is a problem? Well, their accountants typically are being counters. Google is one size fits all, and you can imagine that. Imagine you go into the doctor today, and you walk into the doctor, and the doctor says, don't say anything. Don't say a word. You know what? Just come on in and we'll start surgery on you. You say, doc, I just came for a physical checkup. You say, no, every doctor, every person, every patient here gets the same medication and the same surgery. What are your odds you're going to go back to that doctor? It was the same with Google, one size fits all. The solution is the solution for everybody. Everybody should have the same stuff. The lawyers have no clues. I'll be honest. The lawyers think people turn to lawyers. Lawyers have no clue what the hell they're doing. Matter of fact, I have more lawyers as clients. Second population is lawyers outside of physicians. Family members who have never actually dealt with that kind of money before, it's a disaster. They go, well, have you heard of these defined benefit, these tax reduction plans? The family member's like, nope. And the reason why is because they can't afford it anyways. And they don't have the means to do anything. So why would people approach them? Their colleagues. Their colleagues is like the blind leading the blind. Because they don't know. So they're not going to add input, but they're going to talk about things that they don't know. And so they end up having the same conversation about things they just don't know. So we can go all day with where the problem is, but you can't turn to people that have never had the wealth you've got and ask them questions about building wealth that they can't even fathom or put their arms around. So I'm going to give you some real life stuff, and here's all you have to do is write it down. Okay. Just write this down, take a picture, take a screenshot, do whatever. Here are the questions that you should be asking potentially people. Okay. As you're talking to them about insurance, you don't have to change the insurance conversation. I don't want you to. Jonah gonna come looking for me like Gandy. Like, you got my people hunting for dinosaurs, and they've been extinct for 20 years. No, no, no. No. At the end of the day, you're trying to help people make decisions, protect their family, and be able to retire ridiculous. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make sure you protect the things they care about the most. That is the most important thing. And in doing so, you ask intelligent questions. Here's the first intelligent question. If we can help you reduce your overall taxable obligation by $200,000 to $500,000 a year, would you be open to having a second conversation about it? And then just be quiet. Don't fill in the blanks. Don't say, well, we got this defined benefit plan. No, no, no. Just ask the question. And then you say, would you be open to having a second conversation about it? Because we work with a specialist, we work with a team of people that can help put that together. And I think it'd be worth your time to have that conversation, just like that. and move on. Second, if we can help redirect part of your IRS obligation, would you be open to it? I don't know why that T, what happened to my O? I don't know what happened. Somebody ate it. But the answer to that question, whatever they say, no, I don't want to redirect part of my IRS obligation. You look at them with like they have a hole in their head, but you say, are you sure? Right? But typically they'll say, yeah. Like, how do I do that? Second thing is, what's the rate of return? Or last thing is, Mr. Client, hey, what was the rate of return you got on your, and you actually really look puzzled. What rate of return you got on the money you paid to the IRS last year? They're going to say, well, zero, of course. I said, how would you like to get a return on the money you would have sent to the IRS? Would you be open to hearing about that idea, that concept? We got a team of people, same thing. Close as that. We got a team of people. I'd like to bring you in with one of our specialists to talk to you more about that and how we can help you do that and build more wealth and keep more wealth in your pocket. Those are the questions. Just write them down. That's it. You don't have to make it up. You don't have to just memorize this. That's it. And from doing that, when you ask those questions, well, the idea is simple. That makes you special because you ask them something that nobody else is asking. See, guys like me who actually do actual financial planning, a lot of times I'm asking them about after-tax money, which is already costing them 30% more. And everybody and their mother is asking them about the same money, from Morgan Stanley to Smith Barney to all those other people, whatever. They're already talking to them about that stuff. So at the end of the day, they're like, well, why are you different? Right? Well, we're different because we're going to actually help use Uncle Sam's money to help you build wealth. That's what makes us different. And to just shut up and just glow in the light because they're going to be like, wow, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. See, when a client stops to think about it, there's only a couple of things they can actually do with their money or any assets, all of you. Say we all got 60, 70 years old. We all got $20 million. We're balling out. And at the end of the day, there's only three things we can do with the money. Well, there's four, technically. One, we can give it to the IRS and they will happily take it. You can see it there, first left. And when you say this to a client, say, Mr. Client, there's really only four things you can do with money. One, we can leave it to the IRS. You know, it's true. Like if you're Elon Musk today or Warren Buffett, you got $1 billion and you died today, they're not going to take all Warren Buffett's assets and put it in his grave. That's not how it works. So either A, if he does nothing, the IRS will take half of it or most of it. And he can deem it to the IRS if he wants it. Two, he can give it to the people he loves and care about, so includes his wife, kids, his estate, whatever it may be. Three, he can give it to a charity. Or four, they can literally take it out, set it on fire, destroy it. Outside of that, Mr. Client, what else can you do with the money? And then you sit back and you listen. Because by the way, this study was actually done by Penn, a psychologist at Penn. And when people start to realize there's nothing, and they'll rationalize like, oh, I can leave it to my grandma. Well, that's actually given to people you love and care about. Well, I can give it to the church. Well, that's charity. Okay, well, I could put it in a trust. Well, that's giving it to the people you love and care about. Well, they start to rationalize. And when they stop coming up with excuses of there's nothing else you could do with the money, Mr. Client, which one of these enterprises would you like to leave the least amount of your assets? Because you're pretty logical, so you're not going to destroy the money. But at the end of the day, who would you like to leave the least amount of your assets to? And then you be quiet and listen. And the answer, 99% of the time, is the IRS. So now you're in a position of credibility. Two, you've asked them a question no one else has asked them. And three, they're thinking you have a solution that can help them keep the money out of the IRS's hands over the course of their life. And that's the realization. See, most people they understand what a 401k is or a qualified plan is. They understand they can put away $60,000. But if I'm making $500,000 and I put away $60,000, I still owe taxes on $460,000, which launches me in a 37% tax rate. I owe $120,000 off making $500,000. That sucks. They're fairly familiar with that because most companies have them, but they're not fairly familiar with what a defined benefit plan is. A defined benefit plan allows for you to put up to $200 to $300 to almost $1 million a year away a year off of the gross annual income, anywhere from zero up to $1 million or more. And over a 10-year period of time, you can potentially do both. So a client technically is doing one, they can now do a second. See, don't swim in these waters alone because they're dangerous. And the one thing you have to watch out for is what they call a control interest group. Say, Chris, what is a control interest group? Control interest group is very easy to understand. If a client, like your super self-absorbent super client, owns 9,000 companies and his or her name is splattered on all of them, At the end of the day, one company is treated like all the other companies, and they're all treated the same as one conglomerate group. Do you understand? So you cannot treat one differently. So the strategy is in our conversation with the client is we need to decontrol one of the groups. And that is where that comes from. Does that make sense? Type in the thing if that doesn't make sense or if I'm going too fast. If so, I'm gonna speed up. So I can't slow down. I don't know what else to do. So here's an example of a defined benefit plan just for your eyes only, not for you to go describe to a client, because the client will be like, okay, explain this, and you get lost, you're gonna lose credibility. But here's so visually you can understand how impactful this is. One, $800,000 of income, which all of you have probably talked to somebody like that in the last month or so, right? If they have any W-2 income or outside W-2 income, this will work. W-2, it works, but you got to be married to somebody that doesn't. So you got to ask the question, do you have all W-2 income? Do you have any 1099 income, or do your spouse or anybody else have other income outside of a W-2? Okay. So that's important. If they have W-2 income, there's a lot of other strategies, but specifically tax reduction is our play. So here's an example, $800,000 they made in a year. They had 200,000 of expenses. Their accountant's like, yes, congratulations. Net income of 600,000. Their taxable income is 37%. That's $222,000 of taxes that they pay every single year. Just imagine that. You made 800,000, you got to give up 222. You're like, that's not bad. It is bad. It's not good. See, our mindset is this. What about this? We now adopt a defined benefit plan. We now take the 120. I'll go back. So now we take part of that taxes that you paid, 222, and now we put it in a defined benefit plan for $122,000 each year. Over that 10-year period of time, that's $1.2 million if I actually just continue to do it. If I just had 7% interest on the money, that's $2.07 million that we took out of Uncle Sam's hands and basically helped them create wealth for themselves. By doing that, I reduced the taxes by $52,000 over that 10-year period of time, over $500,000. I'll repeat it one more time. Just so you know, the $800,000 of income. Now, all of a sudden, on $800,000 of income, they're only paying $52,000 in taxes. Let me repeat. $800,000 of income, they're paying now $52,000. 800,000 before, they're paying 222. Hello. Your client looks at you and says, well, you see, only save $122,000, and over time, 7% interest, that's $2.07 million. Yes. If you do the math on this, we've helped them save between the IRS and actually accumulating that money that they will use again in the future is $2.5 million over that period of time, all by using Uncle Sam's money. We say, Chris, why is that important? Well, simply because in a defined benefit plan, which is a qualified retirement plan, is protected by ERISA, ERISA, which means one thing for all, which means the same reason why you can't have health insurance for one person in a company and then not have it for 5 or 6 others. You got to do what's right for all people. ERISA protects pension plans. Here's a real example of one. I had a client, here's a real client of mine. They're assumed they own a business. The business does about $1.5 million a year, and they pay themselves these salaries out of the business. The extra money actually ends up on their 1040, so they actually pay taxes on it. And here's the amount they can actually put away into a defined benefit plan that year. Look, the company can make a contribution of 302 and 301 for $600,000 in 1 year. Mind you, they were paying over $1 million in taxes before we did this. Now, 644,000, and if they decided that they wanted to do a 401k, they could put away another 60. But I just walked in the door, even though they already had a financial advisor, they had an accountant they've been working with for 20 years, and I walk in the door and say, listen, I can save you $600,000 on your taxable income a year. They look at me like I have a hole in the head. But I basically just showed them how to do it. And here's the deal. The deal is, as long as I get what they call credit interest rates, it's fair to say that I can outgrow what they call credit interest rates. So you got to follow the rules of those plans. That's the reason why I say don't swim alone. You got to get 1 to 2% a year. You say, Chris, that's easy. It's not easy, especially when you have investments and investments go down and you cannot have negative years. So here's what I'll tell you. Defined benefit plans have to have guaranteed products in them, at least 2/3 of them. The first product you guys sell, you guys can sell a lot of it, annuities. The second product is life insurance. Those are two guaranteed products guaranteed to pay you in the future. Those products go inside a defined benefit plan. The third product that goes in there typically is some sort of investment. You got to have some investment money in there because you got to hedge inflation. Okay, no matter what. So here's what I typically do. I take that money and divide it into a RILA or a FIA, an annuity. I take another third, put it in insurance, and I take another third and put it in investments. That is the balance that I use. So here's your math. The math is I take $604,000 and I divide it by 0.333333. I come up with 199,000. You can use 200. $199,547.37 in every single bucket. The annuity, the overfunded life insurance, and the investments. In doing so, you guys know anybody to sell annuities? You guys know anybody to sell life insurance? I think you guys do. So it's a beautiful thing. Well, it's a pretty easy $100,000 because when you compensate, and actually the way you guys are comped even better than most people. The average person will make this on this. So the annuity, you guys can do the math. Just write down annuity at $200,000. You can look at your grid, wherever you are, and say, okay, what's 6, 7, 8% of that? Right? Whatever that number is. You're like, oh, that's okay. AUM, we're working with Jonah and Pinnacle to make sure the AUM quarterly, there's a fee for that. It's not anything huge. It's just a number. And the insurance. And I put 100, you could do the math. I put 199,000, almost $200,000 in insurance for all practical purposes. And you could do the math. Let's say you're at, I don't know, 70 points, on 200,000, it's $140,000 just on the insurance alone. But I did the math at 7% in annuity. AUM pays 1%. So again, everybody's like, oh, AUM, I got to get my investments license. Stop it. I'm telling you right now, you don't want to get your investment license until you know how you can get to 100 or $200 million of assets under management. Like if not, I bring that annuity. That annuity would pay, let's say 200,000, it would pay $2,000. And that $2,000 is split with a broker dealer. So now all of a sudden you're getting about 1,000 of it, if that. So you're like, oh, that was a lot of money going into investments. I'm like, yeah, but if you spend the same time, energy, and effort trying to find those other products, you're probably going to make more money. Now, I will tell you, in the next 20 years, that could be a pretty significant number, but not from Jump Street. And the insurance. Obviously, the insurance you guys get paid on. But the reason why I love this is because this is the comp I ran at base comp with no enhancement on annuity, with no enhancement on insurance. The comp was 217,000. That's almost $250,000 in your pocket. Just by in the comments, you can get it. Let me ask you a question. How many people don't want to make $250,000 right quick? And guess what? All you got to do is ask the questions. You ask these questions and get people in conversation. It works. Trust me. I've got about 5 or 6 Pinnacle advisors right now. This month, you got one of your Pinnacle advisors. We're going to submit $1 million of premium on 4 cases doing defined benefit plans. By the way, until Summit, he had never heard of these. But he started looking. He's like, hey, I think I got a guy who has a company. He's a 1099. He's a business owner. Yep, I think he would probably be open to having a conversation about reducing his taxes. I said, okay, let's do it. Next thing you know, we're having a conversation about how we're going to help him reduce his taxes by over $400,000 or $500,000. You can do the math. 400,000, a third of that going in insurance. Sick. Okay. And by the way, he just sat there and looked really good on the screen and basically was like, I told you, this is my guy. I brought him. This is like Michael Jordan of the industry, helping us really help me and my team partner and help you, so we can help you. Again, it's your client, not my client. I'm just a hired gun to help you make a bunch of money off with your clients or to monetize on the relationships you guys have. See, one of the things you guys will learn, and I think it's very important early on, you understand that these people have a lot in common. So just type in the chat. What do you think these people all have in common? Just type in the chat.
Wealth.
Yeah, that's right. Lots of it. So if you didn't know, they're really, really, really rich. See, and they know how to protect their money and their assets. Get it? Assets. But here is a quote from the only Supreme Court judge ever in the United States, George Sutherland. The legal right of a taxpayer is to decrease the amount of what they otherwise would pay in taxes or altogether avoid them by means in which the law permits cannot be doubted. I didn't make it up. That's what he said. But see, we work as a team. My network is your network. So you don't have to QR code this, but I'm telling you, my network is your network. So we work together. We've structured this thing with Jonah and Pinnacle. So then you guys are still optimizing and getting paid the most on these cases. People will ask me on these cases, how does it work? I'm actually on the case for a percentage, but the way we got the enhancement, it offsets basically what I'm on the case for. So it's like you get 100% of the case, basically, if I wasn't doing it. And we're utilizing a lot of the expertise and years in business and having conversations with the client and making sure that things work the way they're supposed to. But again, we work together, man. We're a team. I can't do this without you guys. You guys can't enter into these deadly waters without guys like us. And again, it's all, and when we all win, when the tides rise, all boats do well. That's how it works. And again, how many of these cases do you have to have a year before you had a pretty good year? Right? Maybe one, maybe two, right? One or two changes your life. And I'll close with this. Always remember this. The no's are all the same. Every no is the same. This just means no, not right now. But if you ask somebody who is making $50,000 and you get a no, and you ask someone who's making $500,000, the answer is still no. But if you ask someone who's making 50,000 that question and they say yes, and you ask someone who's making $5 million that question and they say yes, those checks are different. Not only are those checks different, but those checks are out there waiting for you. And I'll tell you this, by the way, so here's where you guys get hyped, is this is the only plan that people can still adopt for 2025 if they're on extension. So if you're asking your client, talking to your client, hey, you're on extension. Hey, are you on extension? Have you not filed your taxes yet? I got a plan that could potentially help you. It is the only plan in the country where they can still put money for 2025 to reduce the taxes for 2025. That's the secret sauce. And also, that's a cheat code, by the way. And also, by the way, you're not in competition with most financial advisors or people that sell insurance. Northwestern Mutual, they forbid their advisors from doing. Mass Mutual, their advisors can't do them unless they go through these crazy channels. Principal, they don't do them because their advisors, I mean, I can go all day. So literally, you're competing typically against maybe one or two groups around the country because most insurance advisors, their compliance department don't let them do these plans because it takes on too much liability with taxation. So it's a beautiful thing, man. We're out here making money. Our goal this year, collectively as a group with Pinnacle, your group, man, we got the group in California saying, man, they're going to do 20 plans between now and end of the year. You got the group in Phoenix saying, man, they're going to put up 25. And when we do that, everybody's going to make more money. And at the end of the day, next year at Summit, I want to bring some people on stage and say, look how much money collectively we did together. My goal is to do $50 million of new premium collectively together. And obviously, you guys can do the math on what that means for that checkbook. So I want to help some of you guys do those things. So however I can be of help, Jonah knows, man, this is a team. And I love being a part of this community, and we work together. And as you learn, you're going to learn from me. You're going to learn a lot of things. But one thing you're going to learn is you don't have to be all things to everybody, but you get the chance to be something to somebody.
Chris, this has been really good. This has been a really good high level call and very informative. Do you have a script that guys can read to explain this and a system where they can get in contact with you or book these large cases on your calendar?
Yeah. Yep. Is this a 212E3? No. And by the way, you're thinking of a 412E3, not 212. 212 is half of 412. So 412. 412I, 412E3? No, it's not. Jonah, what's your question, bud?
Do you have so I'm looking around this call and just some a tactical action step as to how they can implement this into their business and help clients with this product is do you have a booking appointment script and a system where they can book on your calendar, or how do you
Yeah.
want people to go about that?
Yeah. So what we're doing right now is, and you and Spencer should get together on how they're trying. What we're trying to do is create a conduit with it, so that we can vet some of those opportunities prior to us jumping in and saying, okay, gangbusters. So get with Spencer. Spencer has the cheat code, right? He's got the QR code. He's got the Calendly code for that, and we created a script for it. So Pinnacle's already done a bunch of that. So
Awesome.
bunch of the heavy lifting, man. But I'm here for questions, man. What questions we got? Hopefully I didn't go too fast, but hopefully their ears got bent back a little bit with the sunroof open.
Guys, yeah, I'll get with Spencer and I'll get that out to you guys. Yaya actually asked a really good question in the chat.
Okay, what is it? I can't see it. You
He
somebody
said,
want to read it?
how would you compare this strategy to someone that would rather reallocate their money into real estate and leverage the bonus depreciation to minimize their tax liability?
Yeah. So it's not or, it's and. So the answer to that question, let's do both. But let me figure out how to keep some of that money in your pocket through tax mitigation. That is the question, because we're using pre-tax money. We're using Uncle Sam's money to do this. If you're investing in real estate, you're using after-tax money. It's costing you 30% more. Period. Like simple mathematics. Let's use pre-tax money to do some of the same things you're trying to do. So I think most people are like, oh, it's a better investment. I say let's do both. So let's take some of the after-tax money, let's do that, and let's take some of the pre-tax money and do this. We're gonna get there that much faster. So I'm not gonna fight it. It just makes sense.
Chris, you said that this is the only plan that you could do this if you were still on an extension in 2025.
Yep.
What if somebody, so if they filed an extension or say they filed, but they want to make like an amendment to last year's, is there the ability to go back and make an amendment to last year's
Yeah.
and put in more to this?
Yeah. Yeah. You can do an amendment now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem, bud. Man, give me some hard questions, Jonah. I thought your people was like, man, I'm about to kill Chris with
Yo,
these
what's the number one
torpedoes.
rebuttal? What's the number one rebuttal you see? Which one should we practice right away? What should we have at the top of our head?
It's either one, hey, my accountant handles that, and you shoot holes in that because no, they don't. If that was the case, they would have already did it. So that's one. And then two, I'm sure I've already got that squared away. But most of the time, we don't get a lot of pushback if you ask those questions that way. How much did you pay in taxes last year? Would you be open to helping reduce that overall taxes you paid by 30, 40, 50%? Like that, you don't get pushback on that. So it's all about asking the right questions, um, more than it is anything. Like, and I'll tell you this, you guys aren't going to get pushback from the client if we can help them save money in taxes. You know, you get the pushback from those outside advisors, the accountant, the attorney, friends and family. Those are the people that give the pushback. But I got a couple missiles for them too after we get the client super hype about it. So it is what it is.
Chris, yeah, I'm gonna get with Spencer and get with the script. Have you gotten with Spencer and have you created a rebuttal sheet for the most common objections you've gotten and the correct response to handle those?
No, but that one's easy. That one's easy. I can rip that out. I can rip that out by you'll have it by tomorrow.
Sweet. Yeah, keep me posted on that. That'd be super helpful.
That one's easy.
Super
Because you're
helpful.
not going to get a bunch, but the ones you would get are the same ones, right?
I have a
I
question on the
would feel like
liability.
someone would say, "How come everyone doesn't do this, Chris?" Or "How come I've never heard of this?"
Yeah, and the answer is they do. The answer is they do. They do this, but most people's advisors don't specialize in this area. Okay, so the same thing is, and I played sports, so I can say this. Hey, listen, I played sports. I don't want the point guard going down in the paint. I don't want the center dribbling the ball down the floor. I don't want the punter going out and throwing passes to the receivers. I want the punter punting. I want him doing what he's doing. And then I throw it back to them. I said, let me ask you a question. You think the most successful people like Warren Buffett has one advisor on a team or has multiple? Then I shut up. And they say, well, of course he's got multiple. And I say, okay, so why do you just have one? And here's the home run language. You ready? No one has the market cornered on ideas. Would you agree?
Write that down.
Jonah, you just were like, you're like, damn, bro, that's a killer.
I'm gonna steal that one.
Yeah,
That's a
no
good
one has the market cornered on ideas. Would you agree to that? They're like, yeah, if that was the case, it'd just be one company, one advisor. That's not how it works.
That was good.
Those are just objections. Like I mean, I've had them so many times. They're not even objections anymore. It's just like, okay. Give me some hard stuff, man. I think give me some hard stuff.
How much volume we got to do to get around with MJ on the golf course? I think we should do a
What
little incentive.
what was it?
I said, how much volume do we got to do to get a golf round with MJ on the golf course? I think we
I don't
should do a
know,
little
man.
incentive.
I don't know. I haven't talked to those guys in years, man. I don't know. We just go out there to one of those private courses that he plays, and man, we're on it. So I know he plays at a couple places, and I know how to get on those courses. But all right, is there any more questions? If not, I'm gonna give you guys back your afternoon, Joan. I'm gonna give you guys back your platform. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Chris,
And
we appreciate your time. We know you're busy. Tactical takeaways. And so I know we spoke. Is it best to have people come to me if they find a potential case? I'll filter it and then put it on your calendar, or what's the best
I think
route?
the best after you talk to Spencer, he's created an actual strategy, right? So the best is actually when people have an opportunity is just to have a brief conversation with you, right? It's just because I'll prep you and be like, okay, and you know what questions I ask. Hey, did they, how much did they pay in taxes? Do you know? And they're like, oh, I have no idea. You don't need to know, but you at least ask the question, right? How much income do they make? Do you have an idea on that? Typically, you'll have an idea on that. And do they own a business, or are they a part of a business or a partnership, something like that? Like those are the basic things. And typically after that, we get on the call and we get after it, right? But and you'll have the link. You'll have the link. Spencer's got the link, the Calendly link. Here's what I don't want. Let me explain what we don't want. We don't want everybody talking about defined benefit plans to people that can't do them. Because all you're doing is just wasting time. If you're going to talk about that, talk about, and again, we're not talking about defined benefit plans anyways. We're talking about tax reduction strategies. That's what we're talking about. That is the language. Okay? That is the language. Tax reduction and asset protection strategies. That's the conversation because people will spend as much as they possibly can to do those things. If you
Let's
get
go.
into
Let's
talking
go.
products or you get into talking specifics, what they're going to do is they're going to be like, oh, I already know about that. I already know. All right. Even though they don't, we're going to say they do, even if they don't.
Absolutely.
I got a question for that when we're talking. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. When we're talking to like clients, right? Where can you kind of notice where they would qualify this versus wouldn't qualify for this? How do you find like a perfect candidate? Does it have to be a certain amount of income that you really got to look for, or is it
I,
just like,
I think if a client's paying more than 50 to 70 grand in taxes, they're a good candidate. Um, the super uber wealthy, I would tell you if they got like, 75, $100 million, they typically don't love this plan unless they've got a family because they're trying to do some things for the family, like screw the IRS. And the reason why is because it just can't make a big enough impact for them. So then we're into asset protection and other tax reduction strategies that we didn't cover on here. Okay. So, but we didn't cover those on here. There's other strategies for that group, but they could still do this. Joan, I covered the things that I think most of your people are going to run into when they're just talking to people.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, this was really helpful, Chris. We appreciate your time.
Perfect.
Guys, everybody, we got Pete from UHL that's gonna hop on here and announce a great incentive. So, Chris,
All right. Sweet,
thank you
bud.
so much for hopping on, pouring me some
Appreciate you.
tips. Everybody else, please stay on for a quick 5 minutes.
All right.
What's up, Pete?
Hey, it was a great presentation by Chris.
That was
Good
really
info he dropped for you guys.
absolutely, absolutely, man. So talk to us about what you got cooking up.
Yeah, so I want to do just like a quick short sprint promo for you guys. So what I'm going to do is like the top producer for the month of May, we're going to send out some JBL earbuds for you guys. Keeping it simple for you guys. I'm just going to focus on just issue paid. If there's a tiebreaker, we'll look at APV, but I want to keep it simple for it. Like UHL, we're simple. We're going to be for that bulk if you guys are doing the final expense. But we're simple carriers, so we're gonna do a simple promo for you guys. Because I know a lot of you guys are close to qualifying for the trip, and I want to keep that momentum rolling for you guys. And if you guys are a little bit off, I think this kind of help get going because we're headed to Mexico all inclusive. Join Jonah and Joe there next year.
Absolutely. Yeah, talk to everybody not only about the headphones but the trip because that's the real incentive.
Yeah, and that's the real incentive. So for your writing agents, it's just a 60,000 in a production APV to qualify for a premium. So if you break that out per each month, that's only like $5,000 a month. And so we're gonna take the qualifiers there. It's a 5-star resort Riviera Maya, all inclusive for you and a guest. UHL is covering everything. It's going to be a boutique hotel. It's about 85 rooms, so we're going to have over half the hotel reserved for you guys. So it's going to be for R&R. It's basically a $10,000 bonus trip for you guys. So it's going to be a fabulous trip. It's honestly, it's a way to reward you guys, and you can intermingle with some of the elite producers out there to gain more knowledge. So you can reward yourself. You get paid a lot of a commission in the meantime, and then you're going to walk away from the trip with even more knowledge to be successful. If you haven't experienced a carrier trip, go for it. I think we have the probably easiest trip out there to qualify for.
Awesome. Guys, drop an emoji in the chat if you plan on doing at least $5,000 a month with UHL and you believe that's incredibly easy to hit. And I will say another thing too. I've been doing this long enough where I'm blessed to be on a few carrier trips at this point. Haven't been on UHL, but the carrier trips I've been on, guys, they go all out. They spare no expense. So it's a great time, great incentive. So yeah, we appreciate your business, Pete, and where a lot of our
Appreciate it.
guys are really shooting for that.
Yep. And we got some good things cooking up for later this year. We got some refresh coming to the guaranteed issue, dropping the issue age to 40, going to reduce some of the rates for that product for the lower ages. Working on different things to make it more increase the placement for you guys. And we've had some really good discussions about that 6-digit PIN you guys are always talking about for text signature.
Let's
So
go.
we got
Let's
some
go.
good things cooking for you guys.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you, Pete. We appreciate UHL, and we love writing your products.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
All right, guys, let's make it a great week. Reach out if any of you need anything. God bless.